Today, we're going to be speaking with Brian Galbraith. He is behind one of Ontario's largest family law firms. And so this year, he is expected to help 650 families actually avoid court. So we're going to be talking about that. And we're going to be talking about how he built his business to now oversee 20 lawyers and 20 administrative support staff as well. So 40 overall is what he oversees. He's built it into, we'll call it a small empire of really strong lawyers there that are protecting their clients. Brian, really great to have you on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Mark. I'm looking forward to it.
So let's go to the origin story, Brian. Maybe you could share a little bit about how it all started.
Yeah, well, it's a funny story because I had no intention of being a family law lawyer. I, in fact, didn't even take family law in law school many years ago. What I wanted to do was international corporate commercial law. And I started working at a firm in Calgary, a large firm that had offices in Hong Kong and London and all, right around the world, New York. And I soon discovered that this was really boring work, Mark. It was a lot of it was due diligence, reviewing documents. It was just the senior men and women who were making the deals that were having a lot of fun and interacting with human beings. Immediately after becoming a lawyer, I started my own practice with another man. And my partner and I decided I would do the litigation and he would do the solicitor work, real estate, wills and estates, that sort of thing. And I soon discovered after about 4 months, family law was my thing. I was like, wow, this is so good and so important. And it's the opposite of international corporate commercial because it's helping an individual in their family law situation. But I found it so rewarding to be able to help someone get better. People ask me, why would you want to do family law? It sounds like a miserable thing to do, right? But I say, well, it's like my brother. He's a pediatrician, and people ask him, why do you want to deal with sick children? He says, well, they come to me sick. I help them heal, and that's how I feel about doing family law. When people come to me, we help them get better and get on through to the next stage of their life.
Yeah, I love that. And so it's so a couple things. It's so interesting how if you go through to be a lawyer, there's so many different channels you can go down, right? And so I would imagine, based on our conversation so far, I mean, you have empathy skills where you can actually communicate effectively, which would really help in this for sure. But you shared something when we asked for your bio. You said something that your mission is to help 650 families avoid court. And so, which
Well,
seems like
well,
totally contradictory to, it's like you would think, oh, a lawyer, you probably want to go to court and you're always pushing that way. But maybe you could tell me a little bit about how you guys do things a little different.
that's our plan A is to help our clients avoid court if possible.
Yeah,
Now, having said that, not every case can avoid court.
that's
Some
right.
cases are plan B, and that's where we have to go
Yeah.
to family court. So probably about 30% of our cases are in court. But even with the cases that are in court, I think of ourselves as being peacemakers, that our goal is to help our clients get a resolution, get it done, because people don't want to be with me, right? I remember a client came to me one day, Mark, he says, he had a meeting with me, and then he said, now I'm going to my dentist. I'm going through both
Yeah.
miserable experiences in one day, and I'm like, oh, God bless you. But no, they don't
Yeah.
want to. They don't want to. Clients don't want a long, dragged out process. They want to get it done quickly. They want it done effectively, and they really want the conflict to come to an end. And those are their three priorities. So our main primary value is to treat others as we'd like to be treated.
Mm.
It's the golden rule, and that's how we take. That's the approach we take with every decision. How would if I was in the shoes of a client, I wouldn't want the matter to drag out forever. I would want to get a resolution. And I know that because I went through my own divorce, Mark, and
Yeah.
that really impacted the way I practice and the way all of our firm practices because I'm cognizant of what a miserable experience it is to go through a divorce.
Yeah. And I'm sure with your experience there, you would be able to connect with your clients at a much deeper level, and I'm sure that's really appreciated that you be able to connect with them there. Now, it's very to me this is interesting that you had said that we're peacemakers. So for us, when we're negotiating a deal, a real estate deal, for us, we're always thinking what's in it for the other person, what's in it for us, and we're always trying to make like a win-win, because that's generally both actually get more by thinking that way versus me versus you, and I'm going to win and you're going to lose. What would you say would be some of your key things that you do to try and make it a peaceful resolution, to make it so that both parties win? You're definitely, your client would win for sure. But are there any things that you do, or you teach your lawyers, or you guys mastermind with, to be able to deliver on that result of a peaceful, we'll say, negotiation?
Yeah, well, you hit the nail on the head. It's called interest-based negotiation, and that's where you're looking to understand what's underlying the position that someone is taking. Like,
Yeah.
here's a classic example, Mark. One person wants to sell the matrimonial home and call you and get you to list it and go with it, right? That's a position because there's only one way to resolve that. That is sell the home.
Mm,
But maybe underlying that is that their goal is to have the financial resources to get in their own home. And so there's lots of different ways we can achieve that goal when you get below the surface, the initial position. So, you could sell the home, yes, but you could maybe add a second mortgage to get some
yeah.
money out of it, or you could rent a new home, or, there's a variety of things that you could do to meet that underlying goal. And so, what we're always looking to do is understand not only our clients' underlying goals, what's important to them, their values, their priorities, their worries, but what are the goals and aspirations of the other party? Because if we won't reach a deal unless we meet the needs of the other party, right?
Mm,
So we need to explore that and understand their perspective, so that we can satisfy their goals while we're there. Of course, we have to protect our clients
yeah.
and help them come up with a settlement that will work for them. I mean, we go to court, Mark, and
Yeah.
that's a different thing. But even in court, we will. It's like a facilitated negotiation with a judge. Judges are the structure is that they're always there helping you to try to settle it. Only about 2 or 3% of cases actually go to trial. They're all 97, 98% of cases are settled. So it's still a negotiation. You're getting input from a judge, but ultimately you're still negotiating. And so we still take that attitude of what are the goals and interests of the other party? How can I meet those while also meeting my own client's goals? Otherwise, you're not going to get a deal. You're not going to force it down their throat. You're not going to bully them into a deal. You've got to come up with a deal that works for both parties.
It's so good. It seems like such a simple idea, but when it comes to negotiation, there's a lot of, I mean, real estate agents, real estate investors, that's more my world, but that I've seen is just like, man, if you could only get this one principle, you would get so much further ahead. And it seems to be it's true in your profession. I'm sure you run up against some lawyers, and it's just like you're just crucifying your own client, although you think you're doing a good job for them. But it seems to be that's a little bit more of a like probably the lawyers I would think that have been in the business longer. They've been through the so many different battles. They've actually been able to identify firsthand what actually works and what doesn't. Is that true in your field?
Well, certainly, but experience isn't always enough. There still has to be a desire to make a difference and to help
That's
people.
good.
And
That's
so
really
there
good.
are some lawyers who have lots of experience and they're just miserable and they make things worse. We've actually fired lawyers who didn't ascribe to our values, that they made a mountain out of a molehill, right? They made things worse for our clients and for the other side, and nobody, liked working with them because they didn't understand the importance of of working towards a settlement in an efficient way.
Brian, that's so true. Now that you say that, it's not just about experience. It's about that desire that you had mentioned there, that they got to want to do a good job. And if they do that, then they'll actually be able to identify, yeah, this is what works and what doesn't work, right? And so that's so true. Now, let's go back to when you started. I want to hear like more on the business on the growth side because that's pretty phenomenal to be able to build a business and to be able to have like 20 lawyers and 20 support. Like it's you're doing a lot. And so, how did you start? You were working on your own. You realized that family law was your craft. Like when you said it, there was like a light in you, and you're like, this just connects with me. What was the first step to be able to move towards having a staff of 40 or a team of 40?
Yeah, well, let me back up to when I was a kid, Mark. My father was an entrepreneur, and I remember him saying, the problem with being a lawyer is that if you get sick, then you have no income because you're the only one producing the income if you're the lawyer, as compared to a business person who has other people operate. The business can operate and there can still be an income coming in. And so I remembered that as a kid. And later on, after I started practicing, I decided, maybe I need to change my focus and start treating this law practice like a business. And
Mm.
so what I did is I hired a business coach. And
Oh,
this was
wow.
back before the before we were using Zoom and things like that. And I spoke with this man on the telephone once a week for an hour for about 3 years. And he had no experience with the law. He wasn't a lawyer. He had been working in manufacturing, and when he before he became a consultant. And so he kept challenging me to treat the practice of law like a business. So I'll give you an example. Um, we had accounts receivable and accounts write-offs of often around 20%. And one day he said to me, he says, Brian, do you like your clients better than your friends and your family? And I said, well, not better than my friends and my family. And he says, well, you're spending 1 day a week giving away your time to these people when you could be spending that 1 day a week, Friday. Take Fridays off and be with your family and friends or do things in the community. I mean, it'll line your bank account just the same amount as giving you away your time. And that really resonated with me. I was like, you're right. I gotta treat this like a business. And so now our accounts receivable are 1 to 2% of our billings because we put in processes to make sure that we have the money in trust before we do the work. So that was instrumental. I've had worked with other business coaches and lawyers who have shared their ideas with me, and a new thing that I've embarked upon, and I think you follow, is the EOS system. And I started doing that about 2.5 years ago, and that's based on the book Traction, Gino Wickman, and that's really changed everything in the business. We last year we had a 10% increase in revenue. The year before it was 30% increase in revenue. So we're really working it and as a business, and we see our business as providing a platform for lawyers so that they can do good work in the community. And so we're providing them with all the supports that they need to be efficient and effective.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, I don't meet too many lawyers that actually implement that on for traction. So you're definitely what you're doing right now. That's phenomenal, and to see the results. So I'm sure the listeners that I've talked about it, yes, but say if they didn't actually take action, read the book yet, and they're like, "What is this traction all about?" It's Gino Wickman. What would maybe be one or two things that you've implemented in your business that you've seen big results come to you through?
Well, one thing is building a leadership team. We have a group of 5 or 6 of us that meet now every week for an hour and a half and discuss what the issues are of the day and discuss how we're going to make changes to resolve the issues. And we all have rocks, which are quarterly goals that we follow and we try to accomplish. And we all have, short term and medium term and long term goals for the firm. So it's really helped share the leadership role with this team instead of just being me like it was for so many years. It's a huge difference.
Yeah, that's powerful. It's interesting that weekly meeting there. One of the other things that's part of it, just to build on what you'd said about talking about the issues, but then just sharing what the weekly metrics are. So like what are your say 10 most important key metrics or numbers within the business that actually drive your business? And so for the listeners out there, every business has, 5 to 10 super critical numbers, right? And so if you can track those and see week over week, are they improving? Are they declining? It'll tell you, right in your face, there's an issue there or numbers starting to go down, and then you can talk about that. But by having that weekly cadence, that weekly, we'll say that meet with all of your top leadership group, the power there is you can move and you can pulse very quickly and make changes and move the business out of the neighborhood instead of just going around and around the block, right? That seems to be the way with a lot of businesses. They keep going over the same issues over and over and they don't make progress. So
Yeah, and somebody asked me after, like I'm in kind of a mastermind group of other lawyers that are law firm owners, and they said, "Wow, 30% growth. What do you attribute that growth to?" And I go, I don't know. There were lots of small things that we did that made a difference, and it's the small changes can compound and result in big progress. So yeah, it's and those small changes come out of those leadership meetings every week.
yeah, love that. It's I've been told that success is not about the silver bullet. It's about having many golden BBs, little,
Right.
right? I
That's
thought
a
that
good
was
one.
like,
Yeah.
oh, that actually makes a lot of sense to me because everybody wants to know the silver bullet, but the real answer is you won't find it. You'll find a bunch of golden BBs there. So,
Yeah,
uh,
and sometimes what you think might be a golden BB
yeah,
is a mushy pea, and
yeah,
it doesn't work, right?
yeah.
It
No,
just
that's good. I
falls
never
flat.
heard that one. That's so true. You start going down a route. It's very true because you think something is a priority, and then you start going down that pathway, and you realize I shouldn't even been working on this priority to start with, right?
Right, and it
Yeah,
doesn't. It's a bad idea. It didn't
yeah,
work,
didn't work.
and but I think a good entrepreneur is a risk taker, and you
Yeah.
you take a chance with things. You experiment. You tweak things. You give it a try, and if it works, great, and if it doesn't, no shame in trying, right? And regroup and go in a different direction.
Can you build on that? I think that's such an important point. Is the action taking. In your experience, have you seen entrepreneurs move quickly, slow? Like what is your inclination and what have you seen with the most successful entrepreneurs?
Well, lawyers are generally adverse to change, right? They pretty conservative, traditional group, and so most lawyers, first of all, they don't approach their practice as a business. They're and they don't work on it. I remember in my early days being told I need to spend time working on the business instead of in the business. And I started with just an hour and a half a week with that business coach, and then I started to see changes happening, and I started to spend more and more time. And now I don't have very many clients myself because I'm working on the business, trying to ensure the smooth flowing of the business going forward. So I think that's key is just stepping back from the day to day and looking at how can I make this system work better.
So Brian, you've been implementing the traction system for 2 to 3 years now, is it?
Yes.
Approximately. So tell me, so the listeners, one of the things that I found when I first started implementing some of these tools, it was kind of like awkward and it didn't really kind of feel right and you had to kind of push back. That was my experience. But how did you get through that kind of early awkward stage, and how did you actually implement it? Was it a matter of being in having a conversation with your coach and then you communicated it down, or did you have one of those implementers come in and do a full day session where they actually helped your leadership team get the skills? How did you start to implement all the tools?
Mark, if you ever go to a lake in the summertime and you're about to swim, some people just dip a toe in and
Yeah.
check the temperature of the water, right? And then
Yeah.
they might splash around with it. Me, I just dive right in, right?
Yeah.
And that's the risk taker that a good entrepreneur needs to be. And so we just dove right in. I got the books and we started to read the books together, and then we hired an implementer, and it was a steep fee, but he said, "You don't pay me if you don't feel like you're getting value." And I'm like, "That's a guarantee." Then I hear that as a guarantee. I'll
Yeah.
give it a try. And he certainly earned his dollars for his consulting services because it's made such a big difference. So I just jumped in. The implementer helps me, does the quarterly meetings with us, and then we just did a 2-day annual retreat with the leadership team, and he facilitated the whole 2-day retreat. We've done that twice now, and it's been incredible.
Yeah. Can you maybe share? The reason I'm diving into this so much because I totally I highly suggest it for all businesses. And you've seen some great success. I know for us it was a game changer for us as well. In those offsites or those quarterly meetings, what would be like a few of the conversations or things that you guys would work through in those quarterly meetings that the listeners can have some sort of context? It's like what are you doing in these full day meetings?
Yeah, well, the first day of the 2-day retreat really was building deeper connection among the leadership team, and we had some really personal questions about things that we've overcome in our life, and they really created a connection and a bond. But we also did other things, sort of traditional things like a SWOT analysis of the various threats and so on, opportunities that face our business, and then the second day, a lot of it was goal setting. Oh, we did some of that in the first day as well, and started thinking in terms of what are our goals over the next few years, and that's when we decided, rather than measuring it just in dollars and cents, that's a measure. Another measure is the number of families we help. And so that's where we said, well, how many did we help last year? How many new families came to us? And it was 650. And so we're hoping by year 7 that we're helping about almost double that 7 years from now. That's our goal. So that's what we're going to measure, is how many families we're helping get through this difficult situation.
Yeah, and I love how you changed the wording is so important. How you changed it to families helped. We did the same on the well, similar, different, but similar on the real estate brokerage. It was best experiences is what, because that's part of our mission is to go full out for our clients, provide the best real estate experience in the world. So it was like best experiences we measured versus like sales, and it just added like a face to the goal, which I think is really powerful uh,
Yeah, and
as well.
another thing that we measure, you're talking about metrics.
Yeah.
One of the things that we measure is we do a survey of our clients. Every 2 months, they receive a phone call, and we do a net promoter score. Are you familiar with the net promoter score?
Yeah. Yeah. We
Yeah.
actually, that's one of the numbers we track as well in the business. Go ahead and maybe explain what the question is for the listeners.
It's a simple question, is would you refer a family or friend to our business? And the Harvard Business School has done analysis on this, and they say this is the best indicator of whether a company is going to continue to grow and thrive, is their net promoter score. And so that score is actually, I believe it's the percentage of promoters, and those are 8, 9s, or 10s,
Yeah.
versus the detractors, which are 6 or less. I think that something like that.
Yeah.
Maybe it's 9s or 10s versus 6 and less. So what is the score? So if you have as many promoters as detractors, your score is zero, right? And so you want to have a positive number. So we work at that and we track that for each of the lawyers to see what their NPS is, because it's not just about dollars and cents. We want to be able to grow and continue to grow over the next few years, and so you want to be able to have happy clients, right? Because happy clients pay their bills, happy clients refer you more clients. It's just the right, and furthermore, it's just the right thing to do.
Yeah, it's such a great exercise to go through. And with the net promoter score, what I love about it is it's just one question and it's super simple, so it's more likely to get answered. And so you're hitting on something that I believe is like super critical in business growth is getting feedback from your end user, from your client or your customer on that as well. So how do you go about getting it? Do you just send a text with the form? Do you send an email? Is it a phone call? Like if for the listeners out there, they're like, how would I do it? I'm so busy running the business. Maybe they're not working on the business, maybe they're working in the business, but like, how would you recommend for a listener out there to get feedback?
Well, we've experimented. We were initially sending out emails automatically, and we weren't getting a great response rate. We did get responses, but it was, maybe 15%, 20%. And then we went to a website called Upworks, and we found somebody in the Philippines who would make phone calls for us every day from, I think it's about 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. She calls and asks people the question, and then she inputs the answer into SurveyMonkey, where we track the net promoter scores. And that's improved it a lot as well. We're going to experiment going forward. We've got some new technology that's going to allow us to text directly with clients, and we're going to experiment with that to see if that even improves the rate of reply. Like we want to get more feedback from clients. One of the things that we found interesting about the feedback is that if clients are super happy with us, it's because of our great communication.
Yeah.
And if clients are not happy with us, it's because of our bad communication. And almost nobody talks about the results or what happened at court or none of that. It's all about our care, our client care, and how whether we're communicating clearly and on a regular basis and on a proactive basis. That's what really is important to clients.
Oh, that is, and it's so true. And we've experienced the same thing is the fact when there's no update, they still want an update that there's no update. It's like, yeah, I didn't hear you. You didn't let me know. It's like, well, there was no update. It's like, well, I didn't know there was no update. You knew there was no update. Just let me know so that's where for us now it's kind of like, hey, just want to let you know, haven't heard back from the other side. That's the update. I'll let you know the moment I hear another update. It's like they're like, "Oh, thank you.
Exactly.
I feel so good now." Right?
Well, clients sort of, I mean, we have hundreds of cases, but our clients each have only one case,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And they're focused on that case. And they want you to be focused on their case only as
Yeah.
well. And, that's of course not possible, but they want to feel the attention that you're a priority to them.
Yeah. Do you know what? You just saying that just to me it like elevated you right at the top because putting yourself in the shoes, especially because of your success, it's very easy to think, oh, you know what? They're just coming to, these clients are just coming to us and, we'll call it the prize versus like the client. And so the perspective that in their world, there's only one case. And I think putting yourself in the shoes of the clients while you're at the top from a success standpoint is something that I think will keep you at the top. That I've seen a lot of business owners, they get to the top and then it's like they lock themselves in a tower thinking that they're, the cat's meow or, something doesn't stink about them. And the reality is that that's the beginning of the fall when they stop putting themselves in the shoes of the client and realize, like, listen, we're only going to do this once every 7 years, or in your case, maybe once ever. So it's already tough enough, right?
Yeah, for sure. It's so important. In fact, we brought a speaker in from Texas to meet with everybody in our firm for a full day workshop on understanding empathy and how to be empathetic and understanding to clients and give them the care that they want, because
That's
that's super important.
Yeah, investing in education for the team. That's powerful. So you make a lot of decisions throughout the day, throughout the week, throughout the month, like lots. And so, what would you say would be maybe some values or some principles that would help you make quality decisions on a day to day basis?
Well, the primary one, as I said, is treating others as we would like to be treated. So we always are just trying to do that. Put myself in the shoes of the lawyer that's talking to me, or the client who's upset, or whoever I'm dealing with, and trying to understand their point of view, and trying to um, um, be realistic and empathetic to them, and try to help them achieve success. That's the kind of what you're trying to do. Because my view is that if my clients are successful, or my staff or my lawyers are successful, I'll be successful too, right? So it helps me to have that attitude. It's not a winner take all. We can raise it up for everyone if we do a good job. One of the things that breaks my heart is if we ever get a complaint from a client, and I hate
Yeah,
it. I
yeah,
just hate it,
yeah,
Mark, because
yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
we've we've done something that we could have avoided. Like, what did we do wrong? What was the mistake, or the maybe it wasn't giving an update when we said we would give an update, or whatever. What was it that we did wrong that would make the client feel like upset with us? That just, oh, it really hurts me. And so I'm always trying to figure that out, and that's a big part of our job as leaders, is to help make sure the clients are happy, right? We here's a new initiative that you may have never heard of a law firm doing, but we just hired somebody to lead what we're calling our We Care department. And they're going to contact clients on a regular basis and say to them, look, I'm not billing you anything. I can't bill you anything. That's not my job here. My job here is to see how you're doing, and if everything's going okay, and if you have any questions, or if there's any worries or concerns about your lawyer or about the process, let me know. I'm here for you, and I'm not going to charge you anything. I just want to make sure you have what you need and that things are going well for you. And so we just hired this person. We're having a one full-time person and one part-time person trying to help meet the client's needs. And I think it's going to pay off financially, because happy clients refer other clients, right? And it's just going to make it it's also just a better culture for everybody. When you create a culture of caring for your clients, it's a nice place to work.
Yeah, I think, it brings up an interesting point on where you spend your money as a business. In general, if you're spending 10 to 15% of your revenue in, say, lead generation or getting new business, right? Advertising, and I know in every industry it's a little bit different. But the reality is, if you took even a small portion of that and reinvested that back into the customer service and making the journey better. Like, for example, you hiring, 1.5 people to be able to follow up on how their experience is going. It makes sense to me, because then, you're actually will generate more business if you have happy clients. They're going to, like you had said, they're going to refer more business to you, which is in a way lead generation as well, by doing a phenomenal job for the client.
Right, absolutely. It's akin to marketing, right? It's probably, I think it's going to be more effective than Google Ads
Yeah.
or billboards or anything like that. Is that one-to-one connection with clients, and showing them that we're there to really help them achieve their goals.
Yeah, I love that. So, overseeing 40 people, you from a leadership standpoint, you must have seen what actually makes impact and what doesn't. What would you say would be maybe one or two things from a leadership standpoint that you've done through the years really well that has helped you grow and has helped you attract the right people within your organization?
Well, it's important to have that culture, right? The culture where people feel appreciated and respected, and that they're not just a number, that they're important. I started a new program this year, and I go to lunch. It sounds like a funny program, but I go to lunch with about five people in the firm, and it's sometimes lawyers, sometimes staff, or a combination of them. And we bring lunch into the office, and it's we just sit down and we talk about everything, but not about the law, not about the business, not about the practice. Everything about the people. And one of the questions I started off one of the sessions with was, if you could invite anybody for dinner, alive or dead, who would you invite and why? And so that prompted some really great discussions, and people, I was genuinely interested in their answers, and we had great interactions, and people felt valued. It's not just what their paycheck is. I don't think. I think people, if they feel like they're doing meaningful work, they're making a difference in the world, and they're being heard and valued and appreciated, they're going to be loyal, and they're going to work hard. And so that creating that culture and that atmosphere, that's the visionary's role, I think, is to create that culture of appreciation and support, and when people have problems, taking them seriously and doing your best to figure them out and making things better. So it's creating a good, healthy culture for everyone.
Such a great example of building culture. Yeah, Jack Welch said that culture will eat strategy for breakfast. But I have a question for you. Who did you say for your that you would want to take out for lunch? What was your answer when it came around to you? I was curious. Who did you pick?
LeBron James.
LeBron.
Yeah. And you know why? Is because LeBron James has, I would think, achieved every goal he's ever set, far exceeded every goal that he ever could have imagined when he started practicing, not practicing, but playing basketball. And yet he's still so motivated to do everything he can to win that game today. And I just wanted to know, like, what keeps him motivated to keep working so hard, and trying to win the game that he's playing today, when he's won everything. He's won it many times over and over again. So I think that would be interesting. And the other question I'd like to ask is how did he deal with having kids, and now he's got a son who wants to try to follow in his footsteps. I mean, to me, that
Yeah.
would be ridiculous. If my father was LeBron James, I would want to be an accountant,
Yeah.
or anything else but a basketball player, because of the comparisons
Yeah.
that his son is getting to his dad, the legend. But somehow he's installed some confidence in his son that gives his son the fortitude to try to be an NBA player, and follow in his dad's footsteps. So I think that would be an interesting conversation.
Yeah, that's so good. Now, how have you been able to balance family and business? I know you're a grandfather. I know family is huge for you, and you do a really great job at doing both. How have you been able to do that? And has that changed from when you started till now on how you approach it?
Well, I have five kids. So my oldest is 33, then 30, and then 27, and the 27-year-old has two kids. And then I went through my divorce and I remarried, and now I have a 14-year-old, and next week she'll be 12. So the youngest is 12, the oldest is 33. So kids, having being a father is very, very important to me, and it's what motivates me that to work on this business is to be able to provide a good lifestyle for my kids. And so I just draw some lines. I frankly I work every day, but I still draw lines and say, look, I've got to be there for my kids and be at their soccer or my daughters in dance or whatever. I've got to be at their activities. I got to support them, and then maybe I come home and I'll spend after they're in bed an hour, half an hour, and do some emails, get things done. So it's just about making a priority and carving out time for them. So my wife's a flight attendant, so she flies to Tokyo 3 times a month usually. So she's gone for 9 days of the month, completely gone, not able to help her support at all. So, I'm picking up my kids after school and getting them to their activities, and so when she's home, then I might work a little bit later and catch up on all the other activities as well.
Yeah, I think you nailed it. And when you said the prior, you just got to make it a priority. It's kind of like it reminds me a little bit of people ask you, like, do you like, are you golfing a lot? And I'm like, I maybe get out once a year. And my response is, you know what, I just haven't made it a priority. I could do it if I really wanted to. It just hasn't crept up. And so it's the same is true. It's like if you have to be home by a certain time to take somebody to sports or whatnot, like you've made that commitment, you will work like a horse before that to get everything done for that time. And what's interesting I found, Brian, is that I was able to get all the work done. I thought that I didn't have time, but when I gave myself a tight timeline, I got my work done, and then I was able to go home. And yeah, you can go, I mean, after you can continue to work, but by actually making it like a must, it actually it changed everything, and it made me actually more productive. And then my family life was better as well.
Well, yeah, and here's including spending time with family. Fitness is important. So if I do my workouts on a regular basis and I carve time out and I make that a priority, I'm more productive throughout the rest of the day because I feel better. I'm just more energized and so on. And then there's times when I slack off and I'm not working out, and then I find that my productivity actually goes down, even though I have more time available to do the work because I'm losing my fitness. I'm not feeling as good about things, and so yeah, that's yeah. There's certain things that make me happy, right? And being with my kids and doing physical activities, music, reading. Those are things like usually it's business books. Those things make me happy, and so it's easy to make them a priority.
Yeah. Brian, have you got into doing any cold plunges? Have you got into that world? Have you done that? I'm just taking a guess
No,
here. Yeah.
well, we live on Lake Simcoe, so
Yeah.
we've been known on occasion to jump in the lake in early January, January 1st,
Yeah.
but haven't done that for a while. But yeah, cold plunges I hear on a regular basis are
Yeah.
supposed to be really wonderful.
Well, I found because working out, you get such an endorphin rush, right? And when you're overseeing a business, you need a lot of energy because I find like team members feed off of you. And so when you're down, you can notice it that it starts to like rub off on your team members, right? And so you got to keep that
Right.
up. But I found the amount of endorphins that I got from working out when I did a cold plunge, it actually took that workout to the next level. And it was like, so for me, I'm like a huge advocate. I mean, there's a lot of health benefits, but just on how you feel, it's been, I don't know. I heard about it so much. Finally, I'm like, I'm just going to do it. And I did it. And you start to build up a tolerance for it. But I'll just say, like, it's been, I just get a sense that you might appreciate it. But again, you have a
Yeah.
big cold plunge in your backyard. So there you go.
Yeah, I need to chop a hole in the ice and
Yeah.
give it a go.
Yeah, yeah. Just make sure it's safe when you go out there. I don't want to be responsible. Mark said cold plunge, and it's like Brian is big, legend in the legal. All of a sudden, there's an issue there. We got to make sure you're safe first. But now, how about any habits that or routines that you've done on a regular basis? So, like family and working out, those would be big. But what about for like productivity? is there anything that you do on a daily basis to help you be more productive?
Um, well, yeah, I'm just trying to create a new habit, and I think it was from maybe I can't remember which book, but it was at night I write down my three successes for the day. What did I achieve? Those three top things that I achieved today, and what do I anticipate will be my three successes for tomorrow? And it's been really a positive thing. It's really it encourages me. I get up the next day and I have a little bit more focus because I want to get those three goals achieved, whatever they might be. And at the end of the day, I go to bed feeling, hey, I did do something, because some days you're really busy and if you don't stop and slow down a little bit and you don't realize, hey, I got some stuff done. I maybe didn't get everything done that I wanted to get done, but I made progress. So I've just started this for the last little while, and I think it's going to be a habit that's really going to stick.
Yeah, I think that's such a great piece of advice for entrepreneurs. Like I've been definitely guilty of that in the past where it's like you hit a goal and then you just mentally move on to the next one. You don't like celebrate the wins of the day and the wins even of of the quarter as much. And so that's a good reminder for me to actually, you write that down. And I found I've done that kind of on and off in the past, but I haven't done it recently where I'm actually writing that down. I think that's a really good piece of advice because it just changes how you feel, knowing that okay, you've made some pathways versus like I'm always chasing that next carrot.
Right. And it's the next day it also has an impact because it's like you've already set up a goal for the day, the things that you want to achieve for the day. And so I find it's motivating for me at least to have those three things in mind. And sometimes my three successes at the end of the day are not what I thought they would be.
Yeah.
Other
Yeah.
things have come up, but I've been able to. I shouldn't feel bad about that because I've realized I've achieved other goals.
Yeah. So
So I think that's because can be a treadmill, right? And you need to be able to stop and get off that every so often and look, are you making progress and encourage yourself. That's the thing. As a leader, you have to be self motivated, and so this is a technique I think of self motivating yourself as a leader.
yeah, that's great.
Do you know
Now,
what I mean? Like,
yeah, 100%. It's critical. It's critical for sure. It's really good advice, and it's easy to overlook because it's important but not urgent, right? Now, there's so much that entrepreneurs can invest in. So they start making money, they start doing well financially, and there's so many different options that they can invest in. I mean, for us, we have a real estate investment firm that we have to actually go through 200 different properties that come across our desk to find like one golden nugget. But the discipline of like, being very clear what it is that we go after, it's actually helped us to be able to, deliver great returns for our investors. Now, so the question here for you is, out of all the options, a sea of options out there, in your experience with it being an entrepreneur, what investment advice would you give to entrepreneurs that have some extra cash in their pocket and they're looking to make it grow?
well, I think obviously in my industry and in yours, it's the people, right? And so investing in the people and growing the number of people that you have and taking some risks on people, that's a great investment. We've just have hired in the last 2 weeks another two lawyers, and I'm going to be paying out money while they get started and without any return. But I know that eventually they're going to pay dividends. So investing in your people and investing in education, and of course, lawyers are generally pretty reluctant to invest in technology, but we aren't. We really work hard to always improve the technology, that we have because, for example, artificial intelligence, it's a fantastic tool. I use it every day in my practice, and I know that a lot of lawyers aren't, have no idea what it is and how it could be used. But so investing time in technology and leveraging that is super important. So, when the pandemic came, we our lawyers were only in the office half the time anyway. We were in a hybrid situation long before the pandemic occurred. And then when the pandemic happened, we just sent everyone home, and it was easy because we'd already invested in the technology and in the people that we were able to deal with that situation quickly. And so I guess I'm saying technology, people, education, all those sorts of things are super important.
That's a really good one. The AI. What would you say would be something that every business could use AI for now? It's like they keep business owners, they keep hearing AI, but is there something that you'd recommend that, any business owner can actually go on and utilize like starting today that would help them in their business?
Well, yeah, ChatGPT is great, and you can get the free version. The paid version is $20 a month. It's so inexpensive, and I use that all the time. For example, drafting job descriptions. I'll create a job description of somebody that I want to hire. Then I put it into ChatGPT and I say, "Here, make this better. What am I missing?"
Yeah.
And it'll come up with things, language that I hadn't thought of. And I'm like, yeah, that is an important aspect of that role. Let's incorporate that into the job description for this new person. So, but I also use it for drafting correspondence to people. You want a nuanced response, you can put it into ChatGPT, and it will give you what I consider a first draft, and then you massage it and make it better so that your communication is more effective. So yeah, there's lots of different things that'll help you with.
Yeah, that's such a great tip, Brian. And it's a small thing, but what I've found with ChatGPT is, like so many times you're writing a letter and you're like, "Ugh, I have a," or you're even a text, like there's a word that I'm trying to come up with. And I'm like, "Ugh, what is that word again?" And if you go on Google, you eventually you can find it. But what I like doing is saying, okay, give me other options for this word. And just that simple, and then it'll spit out 10. I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's it. That's exactly what I'm trying to say." And so it's a small thing, but it actually helps you move a lot faster. So and the cool thing, Brian, is that you're on it right now, and is that the fact that it's only going to get better faster. And so the businesses that start it now and they start getting comfortable with it, as they start stacking it and improving it, you'll be on the cutting edge of that. And the businesses that stick on, it's kind of like, I would compare it the same as the internet. When the internet came out, it would be silly for a business not to go on the internet now, right? I compare AI to the internet, and it'll be the same in regards to the businesses that get onto to AI and they start implementing that in their businesses. I think that those are the ones that will get further faster compared to the businesses that get off that aren't on it.
For sure. A friend of mine said, lawyers are always worried, will AI take over my job? And his response is, AI won't take over your job, but a lawyer using AI will take
Yeah,
over your
that's
job if you
so
don't
good.
use it, right?
So good. Yeah.
And I love that. So you got to embrace these things and invest the time into learning them. I remember my dad used to talk about repairing things. He was always great at fixing anything. He could fix it. And he says, "Do you know why I can fix things?" And I said, "I don't know. You know how to do it." And he says, "Well, the difference between me and other people is I take the time to figure it out and I invest the time into it because I don't know how to fix it until I start playing with it and working at it and experimenting. And most people just don't have the patience to invest in it. So there's a good investment of your time and money is is into technology and learning how to leverage them and use them efficiently. We everybody uses Outlook, or most people use Outlook for emails. And I finally got around to learning how to create rules for emails that are coming in to put them in folders. And so now I have DocuSign. When DocuSign sends me a document to sign, it goes directly into a folder called DocuSign. So when I see a little number by DocuSign, I know, oh, there's something I got to go there and sign.
Sign it.
And
Smart.
it's a small thing, right? It's a super small thing, and its rules in Outlook have been there forever. It just took me forever to get to invest the time to figure out how to use them. And now it's made me so much more efficient. I've got a folder for my emails for my wife. So when they come in, I know, hey, this is important. I got to find out why she's sending me an email, what's going on. And so, yeah, it's just investing a bit of time in technology and AI and that sort of thing. Yeah, you were saying AI is just going to get better. A friend of mine, he says, A, this is the worst version of AI we will ever see, is
Yeah.
what we got right now,
Oh,
right?
that's good context. I didn't think of
It's
it
the
that way.
worst.
Yeah, that's true.
It's just going to get better.
Yeah.
And even in the last year, it's gotten significantly better and more accurate and more trustworthy.
Yeah, no, that's really really great thought. And in regards to trying something new, it's really I believe it was Alex Hermosi. I forget who I was listening to, but he was saying that if there's anything that you don't know, you can learn a whole lot within 2 hours. If you just invest the first 2 hours into learning something, you'll know enough to be able to get it at least started. So just invest those first 2 hours and then make a decision if at the end of those 2 hours, if that's something that you want to continue or not. But most people just don't even start. And so that's if there's a new skill set or like rules, for example, that's a really good one. Just say, okay, I'm going to invest 2 hours into this, and that should be able to get you far enough down the path where you can get traction, and then you can actually implement something.
Yeah, and the other advice I remember a coach down in the past said, best website is a published website, right?
Yeah,
Like, some people are just like so agonizing over the details
yeah,
that they won't get it out there and do it, right? Just do it.
yeah,
And then obviously you're going to do your best in the first iteration, but you know what? You can change it, you can improve it, you can fix it as you go, and just get it out there and get it started. And I'm sure you've experimented with marketing things and you've done things and it's not proved to be very fruitful at all. Well, then you change and you go some other direction.
you nailed it. And what I found in most cases, as much planning as you want, the real data will come in once you get it out there in the market. And so if you can fire a bullet rather than a big cannon, right? You action towards get it out there in the market, let the market tell you. In general, I found that to be the best data versus, what research or what I think is going to work. It's like you had said earlier, it's like you think something is going to be a success, but the reality is it didn't actually move the needle at all. So better just to get it out there. And of course, it's got to be within reason. It's not going to, look sloppy or anything. But to the point, you want to get feedback on it and then improve from there.
Yeah, and you're mentioning getting feedback. That for me is super important. And that's one of the benefits of having this leadership team in the EOS structure is getting feedback. It used to be when I was on my own, did everything on my own. I was not nearly as good as I am now because there's six brains thinking about things and we're brainstorming together. And when I get feedback, I see different perspectives from different people in the firm, and not always do I get my way. I might be the owner, but if the majority say we should go in this other direction, I'm gonna let go and let that happen because I trust these people and I believe in them. And boy, I got some feedback on doing that it energizes them because they feel like, wow, he's empowered us to make this decision. He doesn't think it's the right one. I'm going to make sure it's the right
Yeah,
one,
exactly.
right?
Yeah, yeah,
Right. And so they're going to do everything possible to make whatever decision a success.
yeah.
So it's which benefits me.
So
So
good. All
yeah.
right. Well, listen, we're going a little over here because I'm enjoying the conversation. We could talk for hours and hours. Oh,
for
I didn't
sure.
even get to all my questions here, but you ready for the rapid fire part of the talk?
Okay, okay,
All right. So I
sure.
got three quick questions, three quick answers here. We got first one is which book has had the biggest impact of on your business and outside of traction. We already talked about that one. What's another one maybe that
Oh. Um, well, actually, there's a new book called Super Communicator, and it's a book that is all about the communication process. And like I said earlier, communication is super important in my profession. And this book, even though I've been studying communication for all my life, this book just turned everything upside down. It was really important and helpful.
amazing super communicator? Okay, got it. Second is how would others describe you in 3 words?
Um, Kind. That came up in our leadership meeting recently, which made me feel good. One guy, one guy told me I was the Ted Lasso of the legal industry. You know Ted Lasso?
I've watched a few of the shows. Yeah,
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 so he was all about making a good culture and
yeah.
valuing people and supporting people. So I took that as a really positive thing. And I'm a risk taker. I'm willing to jump right in with both feet and give it a try.
Love that. Very cool. And then what final advice would you give an entrepreneur that's looking to start their business, or maybe they're just looking to take their business to the next level?
Well, I'd say, and I mentioned it earlier, carve out time in your schedule to work on your business. Just like you said, you can really get a leap forward by spending 2 hours looking into any subject. And I think that people just need to make sure they have time in their schedule to do that and work on it and educate themselves and then take a risk and take the
Mm,
experiment.
yeah, that's
And I sometimes people will experiment and their first experiment is a failure and they give up. And I say, no, no,
yeah,
try again. And sometimes you hire the wrong person.
yeah,
That doesn't mean, that's you probably need that person still. You just got the wrong one.
yeah,
So don't give up. Keep trying and experimenting and being a bit of a risk taker.
yeah. Well, this is a powerful interview, Brian. So you have offices in Barrie, Ontario, Newmarket, Oakville, and St. Catharines. If the listeners, if they want to reach out to you, what's the best way they can connect?
Well, it's our website is it's galbraithfamilylaw.com, and although we have those offices, we work virtually. Our lawyers usually are at home in their home offices, and they're servicing clients all over the province. So anybody anywhere in Ontario can reach out to us, and we can assist them. So going to the website, that's where we have our phone numbers and a contact form. And the other thing about our website is we have dozens and dozens of articles and videos and so on. Most people, Mark, when they're contemplating separation, they're contemplating it for 5 to 10 years before they take action. And so we have a lot of resources on our website, and people will come and they'll learn, they'll sort of to feel it out, and just decide whether separation is what they have to do. Nobody, almost nobody wants to separate. It's a huge decision, separate or divorce, and so people agonize over it, and they take their time before they make a decision. So our website has a lot of information for them.
Well, Brian, I'm honored you came on the show here, and I really appreciate your time. You did great.
Okay, thanks very much. I appreciate this opportunity.
Thanks, Brian.
Fun.
Yeah, for sure. Talking business, you can't beat it, right? So,
Yeah.
well, thanks for listening in, guys. If you like the show, please share and subscribe to the channel where we are building a community of up and coming entrepreneurs. And just remember the fastest way to build wealth is to grow your business, invest in real estate. I love you guys.